So let's go ahead and jump in and get started. Here's our crew today. Myself, Amanda, and Aaron from Hostfully. And our colleagues, Amy and Mitch, are there in the background. Yeah, I noticed when Aaron's name came up, all the love started flying in. So I'm sure he appreciates that. Just a quick overview on Hostfully, and we will hand it over to our partner Safely today. So Hostfully is a property management software. We help vacation rental managers run their businesses and provide 5-star hospitality. We have 2 products, our property management software and our digital guidebooks. The property management software is a booking pipeline combined with our unified inbox. We offer a direct booking template, automated messaging, payment processing with 3 different payment processors, detailed reporting, analytics, and dashboards, and a whole lot more. If you are interested in learning more about our property management software, you can let us know on our follow-up emails. We also have a digital guidebooks platform. We're actually the only property management software that has a digital guidebooks platform, which is integrated into our property management software, which provides some nice efficiencies. This will help you boost your guest experience, cut down on the communications back and forth between yourself and your guests. There's a great upsell platform for upselling products and services, so property managers and owners can earn extra income. There's a platform for collecting emails and signing agreements, and lots of different ways that you can leverage the platform to get more 5-star reviews. Okay, so that's a quick update on us. Terry White said, one of the best softwares I have ever seen. That was after we won the Shorty's 2022 award. Erica Velasquez says, I'm totally blown away by the Guidebooks platform. It has saved me so much time. It's way more professional and modern than a Word document or a PDF file. I couldn't agree with you more, Erica. We love the Guidebooks. Lots of love flying in on that one. Maybe some of you have the Guidebooks. And then finally, we have a ton of reports and webinars. We've built out studies and trends and industry insights on this URL. If you want to screenshot this, you're welcome to do that. We'll also include it in a follow-up email, but we have lots of great content that we've created. You see we have direct booking strategies, our VRMC maturity models included in there, annual hospitality reports, and a whole lot more content that we created specifically for property managers and for property owners. So with that, let's move to the main reason we are here today, that we are all gathered, and that is to hear from our partner, Safely. And I'm excited to turn this over to Amanda. Amanda.
Hi, Roger. Thank you so much. Hi, I'm Amanda. I am the VP of Sales over at Safely. Recently transitioned from the customer happiness side. So where I was very deep into the day-to-day, helping all of our customers screen their guests and prevent criminals from coming into their homes. So I want to start my section out with another poll, which is, how do you screen your guests today? And I might need a little help from the admins to get that up there. Awesome. So do you use a third-party service like Safely? Do you do your own research, or do you just not screen your guests at all? Oh no, I see sad faces too. All right. So far what it looks like is about 44% of you that have answered so far don't screen your guests. Some of you guys already use a service like Safely. Hopefully it's Safely. And some of you do your own research, and we're going to dive into that as well. So before we dive in, I'm going to share some news clippings from the past year that might or might not shock you. So we've got Erie, Indiana, January 2022. There was a fatal shooting related to gang activity and the drug fentanyl in Erie, Indiana. And then we had 2 separate incidences in January of this year in Dallas, Texas. So over 40 something people so far in 2 separate short-term rentals were arrested. And then just March this year, Boise, Idaho, we had a person that distributed 30,000 fentanyl pills that she distributed to the community of Boise. Back in May of this year, a New Jersey man was arrested for human trafficking in St. Augustine, Florida. And then we have, as recent as August this year, 2 California men were arrested after a drug bust in a short-term rental they rented out in Bowling Green, Kentucky. So not to put a damper on things, but as you can see, this is kind of across the board. And, with these things, it is kind of starting to put a little bit of a bad taste in certain communities' mouths about short-term rentals. And I know that we're all painfully aware of this bad rise in reputation. And although none of us can prevent 100% of bad guests, I can tell you that it's Safely's mission to help change this perception and be an integral part of helping protect your communities. And that's exactly why we're here today. So I'd like to jump into this next piece, which is obviously with these bad headlines, right? It's not surprising that there are some regulatory trends that we've been seeing. So just with sex offender checks, for example, Scottsdale, Arizona, and other jurisdictions in Arizona are requiring sex offender checks. You've got Miami-Dade in Miami-Dade County in Florida. And something you guys also want to think about is if your homes are near schools, you probably should be doing those sex offender checks as well. You've got HOAs and other jurisdictions that are requiring photo IDs for you to get those photo IDs before guests come in. And then even counties, like several counties in California, I saw Miami, Florida, and then my own hometown of Brookhaven, Georgia, have 180-day rental caps. So they're really trying to fight against us a little bit, right? I did want to point out where some of this data I got is on Hostfully's website. It's hostfully.com/regulations. Go take a peek. They have a plethora of great information. It's just a testament to how much they actually care about their customers, which is important to me too. So yeah, take a look at that. But there are some trends that are going against us a little bit, right? So this leads me to my next poll. Are your screening practices FCRA compliant? All right. So as these polls are coming in, I'm looking through, sorry. It's hard for me to go through. Yeah, so we've got 81% of you aren't sure. And some of you are saying, of course, and I'm assuming that you're using Safely if you're so certain. And then I haven't had anybody say definitely not. So that makes me really happy. And so let's speak to those of you, the 82%. Let's talk a little bit about this. First, let's get into do-it-yourself screening. I did see some of you at the very beginning say, okay, well, I am doing some checks myself. Let's get into that. We've got typically social media where you're going on and you're perusing Facebook, looking for your guests and searching their names. And then you've got search engines where you're just going to like Google or Bing, whatever you like to use, looking up their names and trying to see if you can find any information on them. Well, some things to keep in mind while you're doing this. One, because these can be subjective, and it's hard to confirm the validity of the information that you're finding. It does open you up to a few issues like discrimination laws. Okay, so you might want to consider, just because you have a Facebook profile and something feels fishy, that could set you up to looking potentially discriminatory. You also aren't in FCRA compliance if you're taking any kind of adverse action on these results. Also, the accuracy is pretty questionable. You know, if you're looking up a John Smith in Arizona, it might be a John P. Smith instead of a John A. Smith that you found. And on top of that, what I mentioned, because they're not FCRA compliant, they're not necessarily legally actionable. So you do want to keep that in mind while you're doing your own searches. So with that being said, what does an ideal screening look like? I'd say there's probably a lot of components, but to narrow it down to 3. 1, you want to make sure that you're doing your due diligence, right? You want to confirm that the guest that you found information on these screening results is for sure the same person that booked your reservation. The second piece is you want to give your guests appropriate notifications. So first, at the beginning, you need to be alerting your guests that you're going to be screening them in the first place. And if you plan on taking adverse action, meaning if you plan on canceling the reservation based on the information that you found in them, you do need to be sending them an adverse action letter if you're going to remain if you're going to be FCRA compliant. The third piece you want to do is to make sure you're using a credible source. So you need to be able to have a document that proves that these are real, reputable results from real sources, so that you can use that if you need to take any kind of action, like canceling a reservation. So what are some of the benefits to this? Okay, of course. First, we just talked about this a little bit. Complying with regulations. Regulations are definitely ramping up, and there's a trend for it. And I would say even not just complying, but getting ahead of them before they come to your community. So you've already got it in place. The second piece is what a lot of our customers have found, that even if just letting their guests know that they are doing background checks does deter a certain amount of guests that they don't necessarily want in their home in the first place. The third piece is it does protect your business. So if you're using FCRA compliant methods, then you're protecting your own business from lawsuits that are discriminatory, et cetera. But also you're protecting your business from bad reputation, right? None of you guys want to be related or associated with any of those headlines that I shared with earlier. And there's a lot. Just go Google it, or maybe don't. It can put you down a bad path, but know they're there, and you don't want to be associated with them if this happens. And then the second piece is it really is up to us to protect our communities from situations like that. We don't want to be the reason why a person is distributing 30,000 fentanyl pills in our community. So now we're moving on to some tips. Okay, it was short but sweet, and you're convinced. Where do I start? How do I even start screening my guests? Okay, so the first step that you're going to do is set an objective criteria for when you screen your guests. Most of our customers just screen 100% of their guests just to keep it simple. You can even do something, for example, like I'm only going to screen guests who have never stayed in my home versus home, repeat guests. Okay. But as long as you have an objective criteria, and it's not just, I don't like the way their Facebook profile looks, or I have a spidey sense, and you can point to your standard operating procedures, then, you should be okay there. The second piece is, I mentioned earlier, is to alert your guests. Make it really clear on your listings and in your rental agreements that you do require a background check. And I would even go as far as letting them know the level of check that you're running on them. And then the third tip is so important, and that is to use a credible vendor. All of this information that I just gave you is a lot for somebody who is not you're not necessarily a credit reporting agency. This isn't something that you're necessarily used to. You might have to talk to your attorneys, make sure you're in compliance. To keep it simple, I would definitely recommend using a credible vendor. Of course, shameless plug, we would like for you to use Safely, because we are able to do all of those checks that I mentioned, verifying identity, running them against the sex offender registry, looking for global sanctions hits, and also criminal background checks. So and then also able to do all of those, the adverse action letter for you. So you don't have to know what do I even put in the contents of that email? We have a whole system in place. So I would recommend using a vendor like Safely, if not Safely, to do this for you. I am not one to overtalk and overdo it. It really is this simple. So I am going to quickly move over into the questions section. That really is everything, but I would love to see what questions you have for me. Ooh, okay. So I had Tiffany up here. We said, is FCRA a UK regulation? And then Amy said FCRA is a credit reporting act, Fair Credit Reporting Act in the US. And then why don't you have the prices of your services on your site? Well, we actually are able to cater our prices to each individual property manager depending on their specific needs. We have dozens of different product availability, so we try not to overwhelm our customers, and we want to keep that flexibility.
Amanda, hello
Yes.
everyone. I have one question from Jeremy. So how Safely is integrated in the direct booking website or the channel manager? Maybe Roger, you can step in as well as a like part of Hostfully, how we can integrate the direct booking side within that workflow for the insurance.
Yeah, so we obviously have a fantastic partnership and integration with Hostfully. We love you guys. And the way it works is pretty simple. As soon as so we connect to your Hostfully account, and as soon as the reservation is booked, that reservation populates straight into our system. And then if you have insurance with us, you are automatically covered on that reservation. And then at that point, we trigger out a notification to your guest to initiate the guest screening process.
And I have a secondary question on that from April. For how is that of a 30-day who arrive? Is there a way to set if it's only screen guests who arrive within 30 days to have like a rule, like different kind of setups for triggers within less than 30 days from the window of reservation, or how do you think it's best to do that?
So there's not an automated trigger for specific lengths of stay, but we could work with you on a lower tech option if there's only specific lengths of stay that you want to screen. That would be considered an objective criteria because it's based on the reservation type rather than a human being type.
Awesome. Looks like there's a couple other questions that have come in the last minute here. We get all those, Aaron?
Yeah, we got one from Melissa. And what does your damage protection policy looks like? So I think it's not about the screening. It's about like the overall services of Safely within the damage protection. If you can comment on that, Amanda, as well, a little bit.
Do you mind repeating that again? I'm sorry, I didn't quite catch all the details.
Yeah, no, sorry. Melissa is talking about the damage protection policy. So how that will look like, or some details on that part of the feature that Safely provides.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. So we can cover you anywhere from just the simple things all the way from about around 1,500 in dwelling and contents coverage. So all of your smaller items all the way up to $1 million in liability coverage. And that really is only activated if the guest actually stays. So so you're only paying for the insurance if the guest actually ends up staying in your home. And we are covering you as the property manager. You are the named insured. And then your homeowners are actually also interested parties as well. What that means is if you have liability with us and somebody slips and falls in your home and it ends up being the homeowner's fault, we're actually going to be able to cover that reservation or cover that incident as well, if it ends up being the homeowner's fault as well. And the other piece is we're not going to go after your homeowner's personal lines or your general liability. We are that primary insurance, and we're not going to subrogate to your insurance policies, meaning we're not going to say, hey, State Farm, I see you're covering this person. We want you to pay half of this. We're not doing that. We want your personal lines to be protected from stuff like that.
And Jeremy has a follow-up regarding the ability to create rental agreements in the workflow. So that's another one. I think that it's about the partnership too, because we kind of like do it in both ends. So we do the workflow for the direct booking website and Hostfully, but I think that you do as well, Amanda, right?
So we're familiar with Hostfully's platform, so we can help guide a little. We rely on your fantastic customer support team to truly guide our customers into setting up everything correctly in the Hostfully UI, but we do provide some suggested language for you to put into your rental agreement, so you don't have to figure out the right words to say to your customers.
Right. And Jeremy is checking if we can mix and match up your products, like guest checkout, but not insurance, or like, do you have any, I don't know, case study that we can check about mixing products?
Yeah. So first off, if you just want to start with us with the guest screening, so we are offering a free screening package, which is just the identity and sex offender checks, and that's an exclusive thing we're doing with Hostfully customers. But I can tell you, if you want to go further in and you want to do the global sanctions and the criminal checks as well, that all comes for free with our insurance. So we're not charging you extra. And if you want the criminal checks as a separate product, that's also something you can do separately. We have a lot of flexibility. And I see that Mitch shared a link, and I recommend you guys taking a peek at that.
Awesome. Thanks for sharing that, Mitch. Any other questions that we might have? We still have some time. So please put any other questions in the questions tab at the bottom. Okay. Well, thank you, Amanda. That was fantastic. And Aaron, I think you might want to drop. Did you drop that slide in there about the Hostfully safely link? Is that what you just dropped in there?
Yeah, I did, and I'm happy to welcome everyone to check our partnership with Safely, and we can help you with anything that you need.
Fantastic. Well, thanks, Safely team. We appreciate that. We love working with you guys, and we love doing these webinars with you. And thanks everybody for joining today. And we'll give you a couple minutes back on your schedule. And stay tuned for some more exciting Hostfully partnership webinars here in the coming weeks. Okay. All right. Thanks everybody.
Bye. Thank you.
Bye.